Okay, so here we are at the intercropping trial. We're just going to take a walk through and I'll show you some of the plots that we've got and some of the treatments. This trial is funded by the NLP, the National Landcare Program, and it's managed by FarmLink. So basically, in our first plot here, we've got vetch only. So this hasn't had any urea and yeah, just your standard vetch crop. As we come back a little bit, we've got intercrop. So this is vetch and canola grown together. Sowing rates are 2.8 kilos for the canola and 20 kilos for the vetch. So it's a half rate of vetch. That one over there is 40 kilos. So the vetch gets halved and the canola is 2.8 kilos across the whole trial. If we come in and have a look, this is some of the things that we're talking about. We can see the vetch growing up through the canola canopy. So that's got some advantages when it comes to harvestability. And as we go on, that will probably get higher and higher, which is what we saw last year. And it's really good for harvesting. As we come down lower, we can see there's not much disease. So some of the things that people often talk about with intercrops is you get less disease, you get better airflow through the canopy and less disease pressure. We think we're seeing a bit of that, but we have also used 2 fungicide sprays, so we're not guaranteed yet. That's something we'll look at in future trials. And as we go further down, we can see the nodulation. So this is probably one of the main reasons why we grow an intercrop, is for those rhizobia nodules to fix in and to have a legacy benefit for next year. So I guess when it comes to intercrops, the main way I think about it is we're trying to maintain our yield compared to a monoculture canola. So this might fit into where the canola would be in the rotation. Instead of growing a monoculture canola, we put some vetch in there and grow an intercrop. But then, if we can get a similar yield, we might get a legacy benefit next year in our wheat or barley crops. So that's basically the thinking behind it. So as we come back a bit further, we've got our monoculture canola. So this is what it's up against really, intercrop versus canola. So here, this is a low urea, 80 kilos of urea. And you can see, as you'd expect, it's pretty thin. It looks pretty good really, but it definitely could use a bit more. And over here, we've got the high urea. So monoculture canola again, but this is probably more farmer practice, especially in this wetter season, 280 kilos of urea. So you can see that's a really good crop, good biomass, and tick basically. So is the intercrop going to come somewhere close to this? And if it does, will it also have legacy benefits next year? So that's the question. Yeah, and if we come back further, we've got the other intercrop treatment at a high urea. So this is 280 kilos. So this is really pumping it up to compare against that high urea canola only treatment. And you can see there's a bit more biomass. Some of the things we saw last year in regards to yield was this high urea intercrop yielded pretty similar to the high urea canola. So that's a good sign. It's going to be thereabouts, maybe a little bit less, like monoculture hybrid canola is a pretty strong crop. It may not beat that, but if we can get close, that's a win. And then yeah, if you look through it, you can see the biomass. That's an advantage if we get a tough season. If we get a late frost or something, we might have a hay cutting option. So that's basically some of the things we're talking about. There's a whole lot of different agronomy ideas and theories in play here, and we're not too sure how significant they all are, but we're just trying to focus on yield. And when it comes to having canola in a rotation, is there another broadleaf alternative? We're trying to produce more N, trying to increase our N supply into our farming systems. Sometimes pulses aren't that easy to grow, aren't that profitable. Is there another option? Maybe growing canola and vetch together as an intercrop could substitute that pulsing canola year. So that's basically what we're trying to do really. And we've also got a commercial crop on the farm, which is exactly the same thing at a low urea rate, and we're just trialling that in our pulse year, in our rotation. Can we put that in and get that longer term benefit? Okay, I'm now standing in one of our commercial intercrop paddocks. So basically we've taken what we've done up in the trial that we saw earlier, we've brought it down to the paddock. This is farm scale, farm machinery. And yeah, this paddock history is 2 years of cereals, so 2 big years. A lot of yield was taken out. It's low soil nitrogen levels. So as we come into 2021, what are we going to do? We're thinking intercrop. We're trying to get that pulse benefit, but also we bring the canola in and also get that yield and that economic side. So we think it's done a really good job. This is T4510, which is TT variety with Timmock vetch. So up front we've gone with Turbine Rustler, which is which is it's given really good weed control, but that's probably one of the issues when you're growing 2 crops together is to get the weed control right, because you don't want to take a backward step on weeds. So that's really good up front. We've done the 2 fungicide sprays like we did up there earlier, and it's pretty good. Disease is really good through the canopy. It's upright. You can see the vetch here is almost to the top of the canola canopy, and from what we did last year, we saw that it kept going up, followed the canola all the way up. So you get that really tall vetch plant, not much humidity down lower in the canopy, lower disease pressure, better harvestability. We're going to windrow this. We think it should work pretty well. And then after harvest, we'll come in and seed clean it. So there's an added cost there to get the 2 seeds separated. But yeah, we think it's a good option. If you just want to seed increase vetch, definitely. If you want a nitrogen year in your rotation, an intercrop might be an option. If you're worried about frost, this has got a little good hay potential. There's good biomass here, so if we do get a late frost, fingers crossed we don't, but if that did happen, we'd be sitting in a pretty good position with this crop. And yeah, that's basically some of the reasons why we do it. There's lots of different angles on why you would or why you wouldn't, but that's just what we're thinking.